everyone. Welcome to Switchblade Sisters Social Club, the true crime podcast where two friends exploit their worst fears for your entertainment.
You're welcome.
I'm Dee, a writer and podcaster.
And I'm Isla from Criminally Good Books, a true crime and crime fiction bookshop in York.
Follow us on all the socials.
Except for X, obviously.
Or have a look at our website, switchbladesisterssocialclub.com.
Check them out for all our latest episodes, events, deals, and other weird stuff.
Listeners' discretion advised.
Hi, how are you?
Well, you always start every episode saying, I'm so excited. Today, I'm so excited because it's the first episode where you are going to be presenting a case to me. Woo!
I'm so excited. So you just need to sit back, Dee, and relax.
I know, and just listen to the story. But before we get onto the case, the other thing that I'm super excited about is all the events. And I'm going to bust my ass up to York to go to some of them. York, by the way, for those of you listening in like the London area and so forth, York is so easy to get to. It's like under 2 hours on the train. And
so easy.
It's a nice train journey, but also, if those of you who don't know about Seat Frog need to know about Seat Frog, right?
Oh my God, yeah, it's so good.
So I do this almost every single time that I come up to visit you. You make a joke, you and Aaron, about how I always turn up really drunk, and it's because I Seat Frog every journey, and it's because it's basically like you buy your tickets in your normal way, you download the Seat Frog app. They need to sponsor us. You put in the train that you're on and you bid for an upgrade, for first class upgrade. And what that includes is like access to the lounge at the station, whether it's King's Cross or in York, where you have unlimited like teas, coffees, snacks,
Wi-Fi.
On the train, you obviously get a first class seat. So it's bigger, it's more comfy, it's normally much emptier, guaranteed seat, etc., etc. But you get like a 3-course meal and the food is actually nice. I'm vegetarian, and even for the vegetarians, it's nice food. But you also get unlimited wine.
I also think it depends, just to caveat that, with what time you travel. So you don't get a 3-course meal in the morning with wine.
No, but you get like food.
But you get food. But yeah,
and
it is really
I've
good.
had it a few times because I'm a cheeky fucker, where I've asked them, because I know that we're at the end stop. I'm like, oh, what are you going to do with the open bottles of wine? Like, are you just going to chuck them? So I've turned up at yours with like half bottles of wine. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I never thought about that.
Yeah. You know how like whenever we did events at the end, we're like, oh, these open bottles, you're just going to have to chuck them
in my rucksack.
Yeah. Oh, this one's open. Oh no, because they're paid for anyway. Yeah, so unlimited, and it's not just wine, there's also beer and there's mixers and stuff.
It is really good.
So you bid. So I've never paid more than like, I think the maximum I've paid is like £24 to upgrade, which when you think about like, you know, if you buy a sandwich and a coffee at the station, you're paying that much, you know? So like, and I can make £24 back on wine fucking easy in 2 hours. So I feel like I'm in profit.
In teas and stuff as well. Yeah. I know, it is really good. Like the cheapest I've had the upgrade is like £5. So it's been
I think, no, that's amazing. I think the cheapest I've had it for was like £11 or something, which felt like a fucking holiday, you know? And it just makes the journey so much easier. It's an easy journey anyways, but it makes the journey so much easier. And like I said, once you've eaten and had a couple of glasses of wine, you're in profit. You're making money. And then you can't afford not to.
You're just pulling into York. You're nicely tipsy.
You've got a buzz on.
You've got a buzz on. And it's like so easy from Edinburgh as well. Like Edinburgh is super easy to come into York. London is. It is really, really good.
And York is like perfect size city as well, because it's really not that big and you can walk around it everywhere. Exactly. So you can really get to see it in like a long weekend. You know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean. I had my baby moon here. I had my baby moon here.
Yeah.
When I was pregnant with Ivy, and then we ended up just moving here.
I mean, I love it. I think it's one of the few other places in the UK I could consider living. I would happily move there if I could move my whole family and everything with me, which I'm working on.
We'll just have to make do with only seeing you for events and stuff.
Yeah, and on this Zoom podcasting network. But The reason why I'm planning on coming up a lot over the next few weeks is Harrogate Crime Writing Festival.
Harrogate.
We've talked about that. We love it. But you've got
Mm.
some amazing events lined up, haven't you? Tell us about them.
I just can't believe this, Dee, because a couple of years ago, you and I went to the Harrogate Crime Festival. So give us its full name. It's the Old Theakson's Old Peculiar Crime Writing Festival. I'll say that again. Theakson's Old Peculiar Crime Writing Festival. And it's like the best crime festival in the world, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And you
It's
and
the
I
only
are
one
like,
I've been to, but
there we
I
go.
can't
It's
imagine it
amazing.
being better.
And you just see all your favorite authors walking by, and the authors are told if you're not going to interact with your readers, don't come to this event. This event is for the readers to meet the authors, and it's so accessible for everyone. It's just amazing. You can pay £10 for a ticket just to access the site. It's so good. But I remember a couple of years ago, you and I met Laura Shepherd Robinson. We just like sat down next to her and her husband in the beer tent. They probably thought we were really odd because we were like fangirling over her, but we'd both
We
just
are
read
odd,
Square.
but
Yeah,
we're
we are
cool
odd.
with it.
But I think we'd read Square of Sevens. You had read like her other books,
Oh,
and we
Blood
just
and
thought
Sugar. It's just such a good
exactly.
book.
And we just thought she was really awesome. And so I'm so excited. She's at Harrogate again this year, and she's in a panel, and she's coming to do an event with us along with SJ Paris. So we've got two of the leading female historical crime writing authors coming to York to do an event with Criminally Good Books. So that's on the 21st of July in the evening, and it's going to be at Merchant Adventurers Hall, which is one of the oldest medieval halls in the world, and it's just going to be absolutely phenomenal.
I'm
So
so
that's
excited.
just after Harrogate, like very, very soon. Super excited. And then we've got Anthony Johnson, and he is absolutely fantastic. He writes like sci-fi crime books. He like writes cozy crime books. He's a massive gamer as well, and he's like done some really amazing, interesting stuff in gaming. He's most known for he's like in the gaming world, but we're doing an interactive murder mystery night with him in his
Ooh,
Resembling Madness. So we're getting people together in like small groups to try and solve this murder. He's also got a book out as well. Can You Solve the Murder? And so that's really exciting. And then we've also got, I mean, I've just got loads, but the other one I'm really excited about is the day before Yorkshire Day. So Yorkshire Day is the 1st of August. And on the 31st of July, we've got Leslie McElvoy. So Leslie is a behavioral analyst and criminal profiler and psychotherapist. She's absolutely fantastic. She's super, super interesting. I would love to get her on the podcast. Like
I
she's
know. I was just going to say
so
we had a little chat
interesting.
before we pressed record about how we want to get her on the podcast. So let's manifest it.
Manifest Leslie, she is phenomenal. She's from Yorkshire and she's just straight talking, really interesting, super smart lady. But she's written a series of books that follow a forensic psychologist called Jo Macready, and she's got her latest book is out on the end of July, and we've got her being interviewed by J.M. Hall. Jonathan Hall is a cozy crime author.
Oh,
He also is a playwright, screenwriter. He's just
he also
super,
does
super.
these writing workshops and
He
stuff. He's got like
does.
a writing group. I can't
He
remember what it's
absolutely
called.
does. He is absolutely phenomenal. So interesting as well. So that's on the 31st of July. And again, that's at Merchant Adventurers Hall. So again, one of the oldest medieval halls in the world. And then we've got, I won't go through all the other events, but we've got 15th of September, Janice Hallett. We've got
Oh,
M.W.
she wrote
Craven.
The Appeal and all of those other
Yep,
books.
she's
I
amazing.
thought that was an amazing book. It's so rare to get something new that you haven't really seen before
Yeah,
in
exactly.
anything in this world in this day and age, right? But her book is entirely that book was so good because it was entirely composed of emails and text messages.
Right, I know exactly. And her latest one, The Killer Question, I've got the proof. It's out in September. It's exactly the same, and she's got a children's book out as well, and it's called Box Full of Murders, and it's just phenomenal. And it's all the same. It's text messages and emails.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about Janet is she was actually a she said that she was a failed playwright, I think is the word that or failed screenwriter, she said. And she'd actually wrote The Appeal as a screenplay and
Hmm.
it hadn't been picked up. And then someone suggested to her, why don't you turn it into like a book? And that's the very, very short way of how she got it published. but she said it wasn't originally a book. And then she cottoned onto something, it sold really well. And then, the rest is history. And
Yeah.
she's got several books under her belt. But yeah, she's so interesting, really lovely. So we've got loads of events. We've got MW
And
Craven, we've got Mick Herron,
do you
we've
remember
got
the
loads
first
going
year we
on.
went to Harrogate? MW Craven won the
Yes,
award.
he won the award for he's up this year for the Mercy Chair. He's up for the Theakston's Award this year for like the best
Yeah.
crime novel. But
And I
yeah, so
have to
he won
admit,
it.
I haven't read any of his books yet because there's so many amazing authors that are on
Hmm.
my to-do list,
Yeah.
for reading. But we did spend some time chatting to him at one of the years, and he was such a nice guy. All of these
Yeah.
people are so adorable and
They
nice.
are so adorable. And I would
I mean, they've
encourage you.
got fucked up minds and a dark side, clearly. But when you talk to them, they're just so cute.
But do you know what? I think that the crime fiction and the true crime world crosses over more than people might think. So Leslie,
Mm,
obviously, her background is behavioral
yeah.
behavioral analyst, and M.W. Craven, Mike Craven, was a probation officer. And then you've got, Claire McIntosh, police officer. So it's just really interesting. And you've got a lot of people that maybe are crime fiction authors that contact real police detectives to ask for
Yeah.
their advice about scenarios and stuff. So it's super, super interesting. So I'm really excited to go to Harrogate because there will be true crime people there, there'll be fiction authors, and it's just going to be super exciting. But I am so looking forward to you coming to the events, Dee.
I know, me
Need to get
too.
you to get on that seat frog all the time.
Hmm.
Come up.
Yeah. Oh
Come
yeah. No,
down. Come down.
I'm on it
Oh
already.
no,
And
you're London. I'm up north, so it's a
yeah,
different. I'm
you're in
sorry.
the
I'm getting
north,
my
Isla.
I'm
You're
getting my north and my south mixed up.
yeah. Oh, bless you. Yeah, but I think that those books that are written by people that have like working experience in those professions, either law enforcement or any of those sort of support jobs,
Mm.
it just adds a different element. Like you can tell when you're reading from the book that they are super
Oh
informed.
my
Like the
God.
book I'm
Yeah.
reading that I'm writing, for example, does not have any law officers in it. The police turn up at the end. You know what I mean? Because I don't know anything about that, and I don't want to
Well,
piss
just
off
pick up
Stephen
your
Keogh.
phone, pick up your
Yeah,
phone to your
I know, but
besties.
like, no, but in all honesty, that's not something I know much about or
Mm.
whatever. And like I said, I don't want to piss off Stephen Keogh, who used to get annoyed when he's reading books and watching TV shows that
Yeah.
like people, oh, that would never happen like that, whatever.
Yeah, you
So
wouldn't get like a senior officer going to a crime scene. You would get like the lowest of the
yeah,
low and everything. Yeah.
I mean, so much
Oh, it's
so that
so
Stephen
interesting.
Keogh even made a podcast for crime fiction writers.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, to give them, it's like a really, really interesting. Anyways, even if you're not writing a book, it's really interesting because it talks about how the procedures and the processes actually work. So that if
Mm.
you were writing a book, you can fucking do it right,
Yeah.
So
So
yeah. So those
interesting.
people that obviously have a background, like who is it that was a lawyer?
Oh, Nadine Matheson, she's brilliant. She wrote
Yeah.
Jigsaw Man. So she's a criminal defense lawyer. She
No,
is
the guy
amazing.
also that wrote, yeah, exactly, but also the guy that wrote like Pelican Brief and stuff. Didn't he have a
John
law background?
Grisham? Was that John
Yeah, I
Grisham?
think I might be totally wrong, but you can tell when they have like very, very good knowledge on the thing they're writing about. It's useful.
Absolutely. No,
So
completely. No, it is
yeah.
really useful. But I'm super, super excited. Who are you looking forward to seeing most in Harrogate?
Alex North, love
Oh
him.
yes. What's his real name?
Steve Mosby, and I
Steve
think he's moving
Mosby.
over to write in under his real name, but his author name is Alex North. But his book, The Whispering Man, there's very few books. John Marr's The Good Samaritan and Alex North Whispering Man were the two books in the last like 10 years that I've read, and I read a lot of books
Mm.
that have left me properly creeped out and thinking about it months later, years
I was
later.
speaking to Alex's publisher because I need to get more of his books in. I would love to do an event with him. Just FYI, Steve Mosby, Alex North. Um, and yeah, the publisher was basically saying, yeah, they're really like, if you want to be freaked out, you read Alex North. So I
Yeah.
really need to start reading Alex.
And honestly, so fucking creepy and scary and unsettling. And then you talk to him and he's just the sweetest, nicest
So
guy.
lovely. We've seen him every year at Harrogate for the last like
Yeah. Love him. So
so
yeah,
good.
can't wait to hang out with you. It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be
Um,
amazing.
do you want to do a podcast on true crime now?
Shall we? Because we could just talk about other stuff, but I don't think
I could
that's
talk
why
about
people are
Harrogate. Like
here.
you said on the last episode that it's like highlight of your year, and it really is for me. Like,
Yeah, it is like so many people. It is like for booksellers, for publishers, for agents, like for fans. It's just like such a nice experience. And it's
and
just
for
like
it to be
everyone's
like
on the same level.
work related, it's a work related event for us, but so
Mm.
fun. I just feel like, am I the luckiest girl in the world that my work is so interesting to me. I mean, I fucking worked hard to get to the position where I can have a job that I actually like, but yeah, it's really special, isn't it?
It is.
So
I'm so excited. And
so
I'm,
we
yeah,
need our listeners to tell us A, if they're going to Harrogate, B, if they're coming
absolutely.
to any of your events,
Mm,
either in advance or come up and say hi to us, you know, and say we love the podcast, because then we will just cry in front of you because we'll be so happy.
absolutely. And if you want to go to any of the events, just go onto the Criminally Good Books website. So it's hello, it's at, sorry, it's not. Go onto the Criminally Good Books website. It's criminallygoodbooks.co.uk. And on there, there's an events link and you can see all the events that we've got.
Yeah. And there are always amazing ones lined up. And there'll be more amazing ones after Harrogate as well, because that is where we take the opportunity to like schmooze the ones we want for future events, huh? And
Grab
future
them,
podcast guests.
pin them
So,
down.
yeah, and be like, you will, you will. I mean, to be honest, most of them are really keen and just say yes without having to be bullied into it. So that's quite convenient. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So now is the time for the big reveal. I'm ready.
Are you ready? Are you sitting back? Right. And I hope you don't know this one, but Dee, you know everything, so you probably will. You
No,
probably
but you
will
know
know
how
this
many
one.
cases I know about, but I don't
I
know the
know.
details. And I love hearing it from start to finish. So I'm ready.
I'm going to tell you what it's about, and then I'm going to do my sources, and I'm going to go right into it. So I'm going to tell you the story of Polish American serial killer. Do you know anything yet?
No,
Tilly Klimek.
I've never heard of Tilly Klimek.
I'm sure you have. It'll all become clear.
Okay.
Right, sources first. There's quite a few of them because I've been researching the shit out of this,
I
Dee.
know. Can I just say that you've been texting me the last like week or so? I'm loving researching. I'm reading more books. And it's just like, oh, it's so nice to know that you're getting so invested in it.
The poor team in the shop. I'm taking this one home. I've got like a pile and I'm walking out the door. I'm like, I'm taking them. They're all mine. I'm going home with them. I paid for them
They are
anyway.
all they are
They're all
all
mine
yours. It's
anyway.
your bookshop.
Exactly. So sources are League of Lady Poisoners by Lisa Perrin, Lady Killers by Tori Telfer, She Kills Me by Jennifer Wright, A is for Arsenic by Catherine Harkup, ChicagoHistory.org, and Murderpedia. Are we
That
ready?
first book you listed,
Mm.
the ladies, that's the beautiful one, isn't it?
Yes,
The one with the
blue.
green.
It's the green one with the green foiled edges, and it's just absolutely stunning. It's a lovely coffee table book, and the really good thing is Lisa
Lovely
Perrin's
coffee
one.
table book about
It is,
poisoners.
yeah, about
Yeah, no, it
murder.
is gorgeous. It's
But it's
gorgeous.
so lovely because like some of our readers like will post pictures of them on holiday at the beach with like Lisa Perrin's League of Lady Poisoners, like with their husband in the background, like what? Aaron says we need to
Just
get the antidote
researching.
book. Yeah, just researching. But yeah, it's a really lovely book. So, are we ready?
I'm so ready.
So, Ottilie, known as Tilly Klimek, was a Polish-American serial killer active in Chicago's Little Poland in the early 1900s. Do you know anything? You look like you don't know anything,
No.
so that's brilliant. So, it is said if you wanted to kill your husband and get away with it, Chicago in the 1920s was the place to do it. Okay, so Aaron better watch out if I want to go
Yeah.
to Chicago anytime soon.
Yeah. If you're like,
Um,
Aaron, I think we should go to 1920s Chicago.
he'll be like, what?
Mm, mm.
Uh, take the antidote book with me. So it was definitely the place to get away with murder, especially if you were extremely beautiful, full of remorse, and shed a tear in front of all male jurors. So the majority of women who killed in the 20s and 30s in Chicago got away with it if they were beautiful. Okay, it doesn't seem like a very fair society, does it? But that's what
No.
happened. That's what happened.
It
Um,
happens to this day. If you're a missing person and you're also attractive, you definitely
yeah,
get
if
more
you're white,
attention.
blonde, and whatever, you get more attention. Like we all
Yeah,
know
if you're a
how awful that
perpetrator,
is.
if
Yep.
you're a perpetrator and you're attractive, then that helps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't it? It's really bad. Um, Reports at the time said that if Tilly had been a jazz age, young, attractive beauty, then maybe she would have faced a different outcome and her life might have been different towards the end. But she was described as drab and dowdy. I'm just giving you a bit of context to her. And I know it's awful that, you're like describing women in this way, but this is what she was described at in the time. And this is what the newspapers were like. And we talked about newspapers before and how they actually portray people. When you were talking about one of the previous cases, and like the gay community and how they kind of, portrayed them negatively. Well, this lady was described as drab and dowdy, with a New York Daily News reporter describing her as a crude, unattractive, and uneducated woman. So that seems quite harsh. Um, right, let's get into the story. Tilly eerily predicted, and I'm saying that word loosely, predicted the deaths of her four husbands, although the fourth one survived. She also predicted the deaths of numerous relatives, neighbours, dogs, all while secretly poisoning them with arsenic, which she mixed into food or candy. Okay, so let's go back to Tilly's early life and what we know about her.
So she was
Um,
like, "Oh, I predict that this husband will die. Oh, look, he's dead. I told you."
I know. It's like she has an argument with the neighbor. Oh, sorry, you've fallen down. It's like,
Yeah.
honestly, don't have an argument with this woman. Like, people will go into the story, but people started avoiding her because they thought that she was going to predict their deaths. But actually, she was just conveniently poisoning people that she
Yeah.
didn't like.
She's predicting that she's going to kill you, is what she's
Yeah,
doing.
we need to
Yeah.
run. So we know that she came to the United States in 1876 when she was about a year old, and she was part of the first wave of Polish immigration into Chicago. This initial movement occurred from the 1850s right through to the early 1920s and was largely an immigration of the lower classes. She supposedly never learned to speak English perfectly, and she and her family were ridiculed and accused of having the air of peasants. I mean, I don't know if
Can
that's
we
a
just
reason to
say, so
kill
she
people.
moved she moved to the US when she was 1 and they say
One,
she never learned English properly. That just goes to me, that tells me how isolated these different communities were.
right,
That
exactly.
she's grown up in the US
Yeah,
and still had so little interaction with
yeah,
like English speaking Americans
yeah,
that she
yeah.
didn't learn Polish fluently.
Didn't learn English
English
fluently.
fluently.
Yeah,
Like
and
you can understand it of older generations, right?
mm, well, exactly. And I mean, you'll see all our husbands have Polish sounding names, and I think it's also like a safety in numbers thing. Like we know that people move to other countries and they stay in
Yeah,
particular pockets
of
because it's like
course. And
safety and
connections, networks, job
exactly.
opportunities, friendship groups. Of course, that missing your home, it makes sense.
Mm,
But like to not be able to learn, even though you've been there since you were 1 years old, not to fully learn the language, just
mm,
shows you how separate those groups were. And,
absolutely.
so there will, I'm sure, be an element of like racism and so forth in there, right?
I'm
Because those
sure.
groups of ethnicities did not mix. And
Mm,
we know this, like America's always boasted about being a melting pot, but actually the interactions are very controlled and very
mm.
beneficial to one group, let's say. And,
Oh, absolutely.
and a lot of the minorities have always faced,
Discrimination.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this woman, I mean, I'm not taking back any of the crimes that she did,
No,
but
of
in terms of the newspaper coverage, it was very sensationalized, the various things that went on, which
course.
I'll go into. But they only picked on her flaws, like her lack of speaking English properly, the way that she looked, her dowdiness, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It was like really, and it was the murders were absolutely secondary. It was all about the looks and everything else, which is just like really, really interesting. Really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so Tilly's adult life seemed, apart from all the killings,
About the murders. Yeah.
the murders and poisonings, her adult life seemed quite unremarkable, especially against the backdrop of a city, Chicago, ruled by Al Capone. It was a time where rival newspaper reporters would frequently shoot each other. So it was like a
The
really,
reporters.
the reporters would be like shooting each other because they wanted the best stories. Gangs were rife. It was just not a pleasant place to be. Not a pleasant place to be. Um, so when Tilly's first husband, and I'm going to butcher his name, but I've got a shortcut for it. So when Tilly's first husband, Joseph Mitskowski, so Mitkiewicz, Mitkiewicz. Anyway, we're going to say Joseph M. That's my shortcut. I'm really sorry. I cannot
Mm.
pronounce his name. I
This is
can't,
on
and
us.
I'm
We're
really sorry.
ignorant. We acknowledge it.
I'm really sorry. I'm ignorant of that surname. And yeah, so Joseph M. So when he died in 1914, it didn't seem to arouse suspicion. It's like violence was everywhere, and it wasn't particularly shocking that a Polish American woman got life insurance money from her dead husband. Now, she got about $3,000, which is quite a lot of money, and that was life insurance and his savings. She actually did have a long marriage to Joseph. She married him when she was 14. Now, that's wrong. Um, and that was in 1890. So they were actually together for 24 years. After 24 years, he died under suspicious circumstances. So that was a long marriage.
Oh, they thought it was suspicious off the bat.
Well, not immediately, no. So it
Hmm.
didn't arouse suspicion immediately, but then I'll go on to tell
Hmm.
you why. Well, this is why. So um, shortly before he died in 1914, she told a friend that she had a dream that predicted her husband's death on a specific date. And sure enough, the date came and the husband died on that date. Okay. She then remarried within a month. Okay. And lost her second husband, also Joseph, surname Ruskowski. Joseph Ruskowski, Joseph R, we're going to call him. She lost him. He died in the same year within 90 days of the first husband dying. Okay. No one challenged her as she'd also predicted his demise to neighbours and friends. Okay. Um, she, of course, collected a further insurance policy, and neighbours were convinced at this point that she was a clairvoyant because she was predicting.
Right. I was going to say, what is the advantage? What is the benefit? Why would you predict not, why would you do that? Predict and not just that they're going to die, but on the specific day. Is she trying to build up her reputation as a clairvoyant? Was that her job?
Maybe, maybe. I mean, you could see why some people would be like, "Oh my gosh, she's an amazing clairvoyant, like fantastic." Or maybe it was to, in case people were suspicious of them dying, it was her basically going, I've predicted it. It's gonna." I mean, who knows? Maybe she had a great self of worth, like great felt self-important. I really don't know. But this is a trend. This is a
Okay.
massive trend. You'll see. Um, so she collected the further insurance policy. Neighbours were convinced that she was a clairvoyant at this stage. She even then spent some of the insurance money on taking her latest lover. So immediately after getting that insurance, but she had another lover lined up. Again, another Joseph. All with Polish surname. They were all
Yeah.
Polish. Joseph Guskowski. So Joseph G. She took him on a romantic trip to Milwaukee. I've never been to Milwaukee. Have you been to Milwaukee? It doesn't
No,
sound
but
like a romantic name, but a
no
romantic trip.
judgment.
Hmm.
But a romantic trip to Milwaukee doesn't, it sounds like an oxymoron.
I know,
But
right? A romantic trip to
I'm
Milwaukee.
sure it's got beautiful landscapes and whatnot.
Yeah,
I don't know.
probably. Probably.
Sorry,
Anyway,
Milwaukee. Tell us if you've been to Milwaukee.
Milwaukeeans tell us what
Yeah.
Milwaukee's like. So she arranged a romantic trip with Joseph. So this is her, had two husbands under the belt, both dead, and this is now her latest lover, Joseph G. And the trip didn't go to plan D. She'd wanted him to propose. He didn't. I mean, we've all been there. All the guys we've dated that haven't proposed, we're like, what's going on? But she it didn't go to plan. He failed to propose, and she got
He
annoyed with
probably
him.
thought she needs a bit of time because her husband's just fucking died.
No, right? It's like,
Do you know what I
what?
mean?
It's like she's desperate. Anyway, so she basically was pissed off that he didn't propose, and she supposedly confessed to him that her previous husbands hadn't died naturally and that she'd killed men for less, okay?
Oh,
She
well, I'm
really,
gonna guess that might be why he didn't propose.
yeah, so he's obviously like, realized that something's going on. She realized her mistake and she threatened him. Now, this is really interesting. This is where I went down a little research thing, and I'm not going to go into all the research, but I'm going to read this out to you. So Tilly realized her mistake and she threatened him with the Mann Act, Mann. Have you heard of this?
No.
So interesting. So the Mann Act, also known as the White Slave Traffic Act of 1910, was a federal law that criminalizes the transportation of any woman or girl for the purpose of prostitution or debauchery or for any other immoral purpose. So she was basically trying to keep him quiet by saying, if you tell on
You
me
brought me to Milwaukee. You
and I'm
basically
going to, yeah,
human trafficked me.
exactly. So she would tell the police and the authorities, you've human trafficked me. I'm threatening you with the Mann Act to basically keep him quiet.
I'm
Isn't that
sorry,
so
but this
interesting?
uneducated woman seems to be very resourceful.
Yeah, she is not uneducated. Like, she
I
is
mean, she
not
might have been
uneducated.
formally uneducated, but she's definitely fucking clever.
Savvy. She's savvy.
Yeah.
So
And
she
also,
basically
how, for someone who's supposedly drab, she's getting a lot of tail.
She is getting a lot of tail, and a lot of people say that that's. I'll show you a picture of her. She's very piercing eyes, and people maybe it's just like an after the fact thing when you look at her. She's got really piercing eyes, and she was a really good cook, surprisingly. People like really commented on her stews and her soups, and like, the best way to a man's heart through his stomach. Like she was, lots of people
Best
said that
way
she
to a man's insurance policy is through his
exactly.
stomach.
Exactly. And people did comment time and time again about how she was such a great cook. So I think it's the close community, the little Poland, the fact that people knew she was a really good cook. If men back then wanted a wife to be a wife in the home, that traditional
Yeah.
non-working woman, look after the home, good cook, all that kind of stuff. And she
Did she
ticked a
have
lot of those
children?
boxes. I couldn't find anything that said she had children. Um, I couldn't see anything at all that said
I
she had
feel like
children.
it would have said if she did, so we
Yeah,
can assume.
it's not been picked up in any of the articles that I've read, and I've read quite a
Mm.
lot, so didn't see anything. So she threatened Joseph G with the Mann Act. So she's trying to keep him quiet. He, however, threatened to expose her, and she, guess what, Dee? What did she do?
Killed him?
She foretold his death to him on the trip.
This is all still happening in Milwaukee, is it?
Yes,
That does not sound like a romantic
you haven't
holiday.
proposed to me. Don't threaten me. I'm going to threaten you with the Mann Act. He said, I'm going to expose you to the police for your, murderous ways. So she goes, I predict that you're going to die on this date. You would have thought that he could avoid it, but he too dropped down dead just a few days later. Okay. At this point, hundreds of people believed that she had supernatural powers of prediction. Like it was
So
right
no one
within.
no one's been like, maybe she's killing him.
I'm sure, and I'll go into, I'm sure there's like a few people are like suspicions being aroused, but all of this goes to like increase the belief amongst a lot of people that she had supernatural powers, she was a
Mm.
clairvoyant, she could predict things. So it was kind of working towards her advantage in a way. So that's two husbands and a boyfriend dead. Okay.
So
Um,
I'm guessing she didn't benefit financially from the boyfriend dying. It was more of a
no,
self-preservation thing, like,
exactly. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, exactly. Fun, isn't it? Um,
Not for them,
so
not for the
not for them.
Josephs.
No, no. So that was 1914. Obviously, first husband died, married the second one within
Yeah.
90 days, and he died.
1914, still the
1914.
second way. Yeah.
Then got with Joseph G, the lover. Are you still following? So she's a little bit of a break, but by 1919, she'd married her third husband. He's not called Joseph, he's called Frank. Frank Kapetsk. KupezYk. I'm just going to call him
I
Frank
like how
K.
you're spelling out Polish names to me, the dyslexic, and expecting it to help. It's only
I'm
making me
sorry.
less able to pronounce them.
Well,
But yeah,
hopefully you're not the
Frank.
only one listening to me. Hopefully there's
Oh,
like
right. Yeah.
people listening to the podcast. It's just you and I.
Yeah.
Are you recording?
And I would
Um,
love at least one Polish. Oh, shout out to my Polish friend Aga. I think she listens.
oh my God, Aga, please. Can we get Aga to pronounce them for us? That would be great.
Yeah.
I should have actually gone on to like something online and got a pronunciation thing. But anyway, by 1919, Tilly had married her third husband, Frank K. The fun fact is that their house, to this day, it's in North Winchester Avenue in Chicago, and it's known today as Old Lady Tilly Klimek's haunted house. I don't know why it's haunted, but it's a bit of a tourist attraction. Um, Frank lasted a couple of years, so he did well. But the marriage wasn't a happy one, and Tilly took a lover very early on. Several neighbors reported seeing her kissing her lover on the porch after her husband would go to work.
So she's
Um,
not even like shy
not
about it.
hiding it. No, she's not
Yeah.
hiding it. So around 2 years into the marriage, Frank fell very ill. Tilly boasted to neighbors that her husband didn't have long to live, and she jovially
Boasted. You know, my husband, he's going to die soon.
give him a couple of days.
Yeah.
And she
God.
jovially chatted to them about buying a reduced coffin that she'd seen in a local newspaper. And she even asked her landlady if she could store it, explaining that her husband wouldn't be alive for much longer, so therefore it didn't need to be in storage for that long.
I mean, everyone
Especially
loves a
women.
bargain,
I
but
mean,
this.
honestly. I mean, if you've got the space to store it, fine. But it was the fact that she was like joking and all that kind of stuff. She then supposedly sat by Frank's bedside while he was like extremely ill, making herself a funeral hat whilst humming merrily, and talking to him about the coffin that she'd just bought him. So there's Frank, merrily dying away or not. Okay.
Oh
So
God.
Frank died on the 25th of April, 1921, which was a date that she had predicted. And as soon as the life insurance paid out, she was looking for the next man. Okay. Lots of people within Little Poland, like, the community and her neighbors, um, were fearful of meeting her in public in case she predicted their own deaths. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I wouldn't
Hmm.
want to. However, she only predicted Frank's demise because she'd actually been meticulously poisoning him over a period
Yeah.
of time,
I
obviously.
worked that out.
Yeah, obviously. So a few weeks after Frank's funeral, we know how fast she is. Listen to this one. A few weeks after Frank's funeral, she agreed to marry a man that she met at Frank's funeral.
I was gonna say, is there an overlap? But no,
It's like, you'll
because
do.
she's using the funeral as some sort of speed dating.
Yeah, she's like over the hors d'oeuvres or the horsies doovers, as my
Yeah.
mum would say. The hors d'oeuvres. No,
I
so she
love your
met.
mom.
She's so cute. Shout out to Mama Hams. Um,
Trying not to swear, Mama Hams, but it's
Trying
fucking
not
hard.
to. Um, a few weeks after Frank's funeral, she agreed to marry a 50-year-old widower called Joseph Klimek. Okay, so Joseph K. He had, in fact, as I said, attended Frank's funeral as he was actually on the lookout for Tilly. So Joseph Klimek knew of Tilly's previous husbands. Okay, she knew that like her previous husband had died, like Frank had died,
Yeah,
and that
because at the funeral.
he really wanted a wife. He was a widower. He wanted a wife. He wanted someone to be at home. He wanted someone to cook for him. So he basically intentionally, and he's documented as having said this, he went to Frank's funeral looking to make Tilly his next wife.
So I just joked. I joked about the speed dating at the funeral, but people actually did that. Oh, I'll go to this funeral because there's a widow. there.
You know what? I think it'd be really fascinating to look into that. But in this case, that's exactly what happened. So
And it was
Joseph,
obviously a time that it was very, very difficult. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy now being a widow or a widower, but for a woman to be on her own was
well, she
very
didn't
difficult.
really seem to be on her own that
No,
often,
but even just
but
like financially and like legally and all sorts of things, like, women couldn't have credit cards until the 70s or whatever in the
exactly.
States and whatever. So
Yeah,
it was incredibly difficult to not have a husband. Um,
absolutely. And owning
so
property and everything else. And yeah, no,
so
completely.
there's, I don't have any judgment towards the women that sort of very quickly looked for another husband, but obviously uh she's killing him off, which
She
is
might have a slightly different motivation.
hmm.
So he was on the lookout for Tilly, so that's great. He was looking out for her. Um, so Joseph, so I'm going to quote Joseph in a
Did he
second.
even know Frank? Sorry, did he just
I
look in
don't
the
know.
paper?
I
What are the
imagine
funerals on today for me to look for widows?
I imagine that within the community, because it seems to be quite a
Yeah,
close-knit community, they would kind of know each other. And I think they all, not all, the Polish American community in Chicago lived in a particular
yeah.
area, like
They would have
congregate, like
known of each other at least,
and
and
like
he could have.
socially as well, I imagine, and maybe
And
work
even if they didn't
together.
know each other well, it wouldn't be that bizarre to go to a funeral of someone in your community,
Exactly,
anyways.
exactly. So Joseph said that he knew about Tilly's previous husbands. Um, so he had proposed to her and she eventually agreed to marry him. She knew about the previous husband. He knew about the previous husbands. She agreed to tear up all of their pictures, and he quotes, and she had my picture over the mantle. That was all. So he was really chuffed that it was just his picture over the mantelpiece. He said that he loved her cooking and he married her for a home and for her cooking. However, guess what?
He died. Oh no, this is the survivor, isn't it?
He survived. But Tilly again began to tire of Joseph, and she told her cousin Nellie, who also had a dead husband of her own under her belt, that she wanted to get rid of him. So Nellie supplied, um, this is actually documented, this particular bit. So Nellie actually supplied Tilly with rat poison in a tin, and the rat poison read, rough on rats. Rough on rats.
That's a
Um,
great ad. That's a
Great, isn't
great
it? Rough on
branding.
rats. So Tilly made several meals for Joseph and he ate them, and as he ate them, he got sicker and sicker and sicker. Okay. And his breath, and you probably know this, but his breath started to smell of garlic
Oh, I
and
did
his
not know
legs,
this.
yeah, and his legs started to stiffen. So there's various like signs of arsenic poisoning.
What I
Um,
did learn recently is that about 20, you know how they always say cyanide smells like almondy?
almonds, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and like I always remember that from Agatha Christie
yeah,
stories because someone always was like, and there was a hint of almond in the air that
yeah,
made Miss Marple think it must
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
cyanide. I didn't know that 20% of the population can't smell, genetically can't
Oh,
smell that smell. And it must
oh,
be like how
interesting.
20% of the population, I'm not saying it's the same gene, but taste coriander like soap, you
Oh
know?
yeah, and it's also like asparagus and your wee
Yeah,
smelling as well. There's like lots of different things, isn't there?
so genetically your genetic makeup can determine how you smell things and how you
Mm,
taste certain things, which I thought was interesting. And it was in
yeah.
the context of a case where they were doing a postmortem on someone and there was three people in the room. Two people couldn't smell anything and one person was like, I can smell almonds, I think this is cyanide poisoning. And as a result of that they sent off specific toxicology tests for
Yeah.
cyanide that they wouldn't have done otherwise.
Had that other person not been, that's really interesting
Yeah. And
actually.
if it had been like one or two people doing this postmortem and both of them or whatever, if there was someone in that room that didn't have the ability to smell that almond, they might not have done that test, determined that it was,
Yeah.
you know, which I just thought was fascinating. So yeah, okay. So arsenic makes your breath smell like garlic. I
Makes
mean,
your
that
breath smell
sounds
like garlic.
who doesn't
His
like garlic?
legs stiffened as well. Um, Joseph's brother John got suspicious and he insisted on getting a doctor in to see his brother and to look after the brother. Tilly objected and said that she could nurse him and didn't need any outside help. But
Oh, Dr. Tilly.
thankfully,
Yeah.
Dr.
Okay.
Tilly.
Hmm.
But thankfully, Joseph's brother John was like, no, got the doctor to come round. The doctor immediately recognized the symptoms of arsenic poisoning and immediately notified the police. Tilly was arrested for the attempted murder of Joseph Klimek, her fourth husband, on the 26th of October 1922. And around the same time, the police started receiving anonymous letters suggesting that there were a lot more victims, not just the husbands. Okay, a lot more. It gets more exciting day. And and the police were pointed in the direction of like exhuming the previous bodies. So Tilly's third husband, Frank K, his body contained, he was exhumed, all the husbands were exhumed basically.
Hmm.
They were all found to contain arsenic. Now, arsenic naturally occurs anyway, but it wasn't in the soil around the coffin. It was all in the bodies. It didn't
Hmm.
like it was from the bodies. And Frank K's body contained enough arsenic to kill four men. Okay. So police reportedly started actually looking into, so Joseph Klimek, who's the fourth husband that survived, police at the time were already looking into reports that his dogs had died. So before Joseph even died, before her fourth husband died, police had been tipped off that there was something funny going on because his dogs had died, and police were already looking into that. Okay. And police had interviewed a clerk, okay, who sold Tilly a mourning dress. Like, like back in the day, like people would
Mm.
have like the hats and like the full-on thing. They sold her a mourning dress, and the clerk in the store asked Tilly, who's passed away? And she replied, oh, my husband. And when the clerk said, when did he die? She said 10
Next
days.
week.
She said 10 days from now. Okay. So this is all within a really short period of time. Dogs
Mm.
died, people were alerted. Actually, I'm not sure if this clerk was interviewed after they captured
Hmm.
her or like around the time of the dogs, whatever. But people like stuff was going on. So really interesting, right? And unfortunately, so we know that Joseph Klimek, her fourth husband, survived, but he was actually paralyzed for life because of the amount of arsenic poisoning. So he could no longer use his legs, and he died, and he could, several years later, but it was because of the arsenic poisoning. He was sort of paralyzed.
Yeah.
Um, so around this time, even more comes to light. Okay, so two of Tilly's cousins contacted the police and claimed that Tilly, I mean, people were scared of her, neighbours and family members, and it's all coming out. So the police confirmed that two of Tilly's cousins had claimed that Tilly had killed four of their siblings. Okay, they'd all died. Three of them died after Tilly had been in an argument with their mother, and Tilly took it out on the younger cousins by
How
serving.
young do we
One
know?
was 15, one was 16, and one was 23.
Oh.
So Tilly had taken it out on her cousins, basically, and poisoned them. She cooked them a meal and she poisoned them and they died.
All in one
Um,
go.
all in one go, yeah.
Oh my God. And
This
that
wasn't
didn't.
this wasn't reported before. I can't find any evidence that this came to the police before. But when she was then arrested for this attempted murder, and then later on they proved that
Mm.
she did murder the previous husbands, um, she it came to light, obviously, the cousins saying that and back then, like people would have like 11 kids, wouldn't they? So four of the cousins died, three from the poisoning and like one sitting from that like one meal. And then a separate cousin, Rose Chudzinski, um, was poisoned and she died in 1919. So so before this, but it was because she quarreled with Tilly over her clairvoyant powers. So Rose didn't think that she was a clairvoyant and like challenged her, and she ended up dying as well. So these cousins are like, four of us have died from this woman alone. Okay.
Just don't understand how it, three people dying in one go didn't attract more attention and make people think, well, maybe it's something environmental, you know what I mean, that happened to all
Mm.
of them, i.e., they ate the same food,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
mean, it's just bizarre. And I found a few instances of the cousins like talking about this, but it doesn't, I can't find anything that said that they reported it to the police at the time or anyone looked at it.
Yeah.
But it was almost like people were absolutely petrified over it. And the thing is, it may well be that they're petrified over because she could have predicted their deaths and that they truly believed that she was a clairvoyant. So they wouldn't go to the police because like she's a clairvoyant who's predicted
Yeah.
their deaths. Um, and but yeah, so obviously that's really distressing. At the same time, two of her neighbours came forward to tell police that they became ill, one after an argument with Tilly, and the other, Mrs. Rose, split after she spoke to Tilly's husband, and Tilly didn't like it. So Tilly didn't like Rose chatting to her husband. So she poisoned
But
them
is
both.
this like, oh, wait, she poisoned some, I was
She
going to say, is
poisoned
this
them both.
anecdotal?
No, so
Or,
basically, well, so the neighbors basically, after the fact, say we believe we were poisoned because we were really ill, but we didn't die. You know.
Mhm. But had
Um,
she like brought them cakes or something?
yeah, she
Yeah.
cooked for them. She brought them. She made her own candies and cakes, and she brought them round, and they fell ill. A neighbor even claimed that their dog had died suddenly after Tilly voiced objections to its barking. There's lots of evidence of potential children, dogs, cousins, people. She even had a lover that I couldn't find out too much about that is mentioned a couple of times, and he mysteriously disappeared. So you know that old lady Tilly Klimek's haunted house? She'd actually supposedly had a lover in that house who disappeared before she brought her new husband into
Mm.
that house. So, but I couldn't
I'm,
find much out on him. So that
Yeah.
was really
And some of
interesting.
that will be people just like, oh, I met Tilly in the street one day and I felt sick after. You know what I
Of
mean? There'll
course,
be a
yeah.
lot of that. But yeah, it does sound like, oh, you're a problem to me? Let me make you a cake and then you
Let me
die.
make you a cake.
Hmm. Oh my
Um,
God.
I know, right? So Rose obviously she didn't like the fact that she was speaking to Tilly, or Tilly didn't like the fact that Rose was speaking to her husband. Neighbor claimed that the dog died because Tilly didn't like the barking. Despite finding evidence of arsenic poisoning in three of her dead husbands and her lover, all exhumed, okay, she was actually only technically on trial for the murder of Frank and then
Attempted.
the attempted murder of Joseph Klimek.
I
Okay,
mean, we get that a lot. Maybe that's the only ones that they
they're going to
thought they would have
focus
enough
on those
evidence
ones.
on. Yeah.
Mm. They're going to focus on those ones because she could have said they died of natural causes. I don't know. But these are the last two are the ones that they've got the evidence and stuff for.
Hmm.
So those are the ones that she went for. So she got the harshest sentence at the time given to a woman in Cook County. So interestingly, Tilly and remember Nellie, her cousin, they were both charged with the murder of Frank K
Hmm.
and Nellie of her first husband. Okay.
Oh.
Um, Despite this, Nellie eventually walked free for a variety of reasons, but this is about Tilly, not Nellie. But Tilly eventually died in prison on the 20th of November, 1936, and she supposedly led a trouble-free life in prison. She seemed to, by all accounts, enjoy prison life. Like she enjoyed cooking, she enjoyed sewing. She didn't seem to, there was nothing kind of like really negative. You know, she died in 1936. So when was she put away? So she was like 1922. So she spent like 14 years in prison, and then died there when she was in her 60s. Um, so I've got a bit of a side note about arsenic, if you want to hear about
Oh, I
that.
love an arsenic side note.
Okay, so arsenic side note. This is something that I found in my research I think is really fascinating. So and I'm going to go back on to Tilly's motivations as well. Um, So I think it's fascinating in Britain in 1850s, the House of Lords attempted, do you know this? The House of Lords attempted to ban women from buying arsenic. House of Lords attempted to ban women from buying arsenic as too many of it were using it to poison their husbands.
I feel like this is kind of victim blaming in that maybe let's focus on making men better husbands. No, that might be the victim blaming.
Well, here
Anyways,
we
it's a
go,
wider
because
problem.
yeah, that women were pushing for better working conditions. Oh, poor them. Of course they
Oh, what
were.
dicks.
Women were pushing for better workplace conditions. They were suggesting that they would like to vote, God forbid. And now men had started to fear that their wives would poison them. This was all at a time when a woman was considered by some men as a man's property, and he had full control over her earnings, her land, and her children. So you can imagine if a man was like abusive to a woman and she, like the wife fled, she would have to leave her children, she had to give up her family, she would have to leave her
Mm-hmm.
property. So being a widow was pretty much the only way to achieve financial freedom and
Yeah.
independence.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, so the House of Lords was like, oh, maybe we should change this. So arsenic was virtually undetectable, and the symptoms were very like those of other diseases at the time. So you would have diarrhea, vomiting, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so the House of Lords did initially accept this amendment. So it was the amendment to the Sale of Arsenics Bill, stating that it should only be sold to male adults.
I mean, the adult part, I agree with. Like, there's no need to sell arsenic to children of any gender.
Yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
like, wouldn't you fucking just restrict it generally? Like, you know what
You
I
would have
mean?
thought so.
No one should be buying arsenic unless they can prove they have a legitimate reason for buying this fucking poison.
I
But it
know,
just
and that's
shows
kind
the
of what.
time, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's what actually went on to be the case. So this was it. So the amendment to the bill was actually eventually overturned, but shopkeepers had to keep records, very stringent records of who bought the garlic. Yeah, I mean maybe the garlic as well,
Mm-hmm.
but who bought the arsenic, where they lived, and the purpose of the purchase. But you could still be a woman buying arsenic going, I've got loads of rats, I need to kill them,
Mm-hmm.
and still kill your husband if you
Yeah,
wanted to.
makes me
So,
think of the Brighton chocolate killer. It's exactly what she did. She kept telling people she had problems with I think it was feral cats,
oh,
you know.
really? Oh,
And
interesting.
she also, and that at that time in the UK, you had to have someone vouch for you before you first bought arsenic from someone.
Oh,
So
really? Oh, I didn't
yeah,
know
but so
that.
you know what the pharmacist told her? Just run down the street and get the hat maker and get her to come in and vouch for you. She was using a fake name as well.
My God.
And she just went down the street to get this hat maker who she'd never met before to come in and vouch for her. And then she bought all of her fucking strychnine and arsenic. So
Oh
it's
my
like
God.
bullshit anyway, you know?
I find it I just find all this like poisoning and arsenic and stuff like so fascinating. Um, so that's a little bit about arsenic, a little side note.
Loved it.
But let's go back to Tilly. So why do we think that she did it? Why do you think that she did this day?
I think initially it must have been a bit financial, a bit maybe she's sick of her husband, she had another boyfriend because the overlap, we didn't talk about
Mm,
whether she knew Joseph 2 before Joseph 1 died or whatever. And then I think it just got to the point where she was like, wow, this is such an easy way to solve my problems, so it just became her go-to rather than her last resort, you
like
know.
escalated. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I've read, so definitely financial gain because she collected insurance money from all the husbands that passed away. Um, she disliked people and she held grudges. So that was like very clear. So she dealt with that, anyone that she had conflict with, she would try and poison. Um,
Because I don't think that the only reason people avoided her is because they were scared of her predicting their death. I think it sounds like she was also just a bitch and some
Yeah,
people
sounds
avoided
like
her anyway.
not a
Do you know
nice
what I
person
mean?
to be around. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely. So she was a bitch. She poisoned neighbors and friends that she didn't like. It was definitely financial gain. Also, a bit of the control side. So the fact that she wanted to appear to be psychic and frighten people. So the
Yeah.
control element, the cruelty element, like making predictions at one of her husband's bedsides about his death, talking about the coffin, joking with the seller, joking with the retailer when she like bought the mourning dress. It was definitely like control and
She
cruelty.
definitely has like, I think she's a psychopath because she clearly doesn't
Yeah,
have the that empathy or whatever. And then some of her
exactly.
murders, like the boyfriend, were survival
Yeah,
in terms of he was going to report her basically, and
yeah,
so some of them it was like, I have to do this one
true.
because
Yeah,
otherwise
no,
I'm going to
absolutely.
prison.
And then
Oof.
also a bit of a thrill element because she took pleasure in taunting dying victims. She planned funerals in advance. Although, so there's a couple of claims. So I read a couple of articles that she did actually claim that two of her husbands were alcoholics. Okay. And one of her husbands, when he passed away, the one that died and that she'd got the coffin for, she supposedly, when he was in the coffin, played really loud music and danced around and like said something like, "You're not going to come out of there, you're not going to get me now," type thing. And she was one of the ones that she said was, an alcoholic. And then she also said that one of her husbands was fooling around and abusive. So there's like she's mentioned this about these
Mhm.
individuals. Um, so
Because we
she,
haven't touched on the fact that if they're Catholic, if they're Polish, they're probably like religious Catholic. Divorce isn't
right,
an option.
yeah,
And if you want
true.
to have an argument for divorce and equal rights of females, it's because if you don't give women an opportunity and a way to legitimately and safely leave abusive relationships, then they will turn to poisoning. you know that's what
Exactly,
happens. So yeah, it's
exactly.
like in the episode we did on the angel makers,
Oh, I
where there
love
was a
that.
ring of women who were basically, you know killing their husbands with the help of one specific midwife. A lot of them, it was because of abuse. It was
Mm,
because
I
the
know.
husbands were severely badly abusing them. A lot of like children were also being poisoned, but that was all a matter in their eyes of survival because they were poor and they
And they
literally
couldn't look
could
after
not
them. I
afford
know.
another mouth to feed.
I know.
So, I'm not saying it's right, but like there are different motivations behind killing someone. Some
No,
are
no, exactly.
more disgusting
Exactly.
than others, let's just
Mm.
say.
I've not gone into her cousin Nellie too much, but between Nellie and Tilly, they have reportedly killed over 20 people.
So
Sorry,
Nellie didn't just
killed and poisoned over 20 people together.
So
Um,
Nellie, they don't just suspect her of killing her husband. They think
no,
she's involved in others.
they know that she was, but at the time she was let off because she looked a little bit more attractive. She engaged more with the reporters. She had twin babies that died mysteriously. She also had a grandchild that died. She reportedly also was poisoning her son-in-law. So there was all this stuff at the time around her, but they went for Tilly. So Nellie was jailed, but then she was let off,
Release.
even though she did admit to one of the killings. She actually admitted to one of them, and they still let her off. I mean, it's just bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. I don't know if she maybe gave some evidence against Tilly and she got let off,
Maybe.
but
Or they thought, we've got one.
we've got one, we'll let off the other one. We'll let off the other one, but it's absolutely, absolutely bizarre. And well, not poor Nelly, she killed people, but Tilly in prison with Nelly um, was really cruel, supposedly. The guard said that Tilly was really cruel to her cousin Nellie, saying, "Oh, by the way, I heard that tomorrow they're coming round to get you and they're gonna shoot you. They're just gonna kill you." So
So
she was like
playing on
that
the
cruelty
clairvoyant
kind of
reputation.
thing. Exactly. So she was even doing that to her own cousin in prison.
And
So
Nellie's probably like, bitch, I know you're not a clairvoyant. I help you kill those people.
I
The
know
fuck
it's
you
really,
think you're
really
talking
bad,
to?
isn't it? Really bad. So just to kind of like clarify, over 20 uh, poison victims, either dead, survived, dogs, children, relatives, cousins, all sorts. They don't know the true death toll because like they just know the ones that they suspect and the ones that are actually confirmed.
And
Just to
like you
confirm,
said, that was a time when there was a lot of diseases around. Death was more prevalent, let's say,
yeah,
anyways. But you
yeah,
had things like cholera, typhoid, blah, 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 which, like you say,
could
showed a
have
lot of the
taken
similar.
people, yeah, could have taken people, you
Yeah.
know, exactly. So just to confirm, like last few bits, trial details. So she was arrested, as we know. She was arrested because her fourth husband survived. Doctors found arsenic. The investigation, the police exhumed all the bodies, all contained arsenic. All the soil was clean, so they knew it was in the bodies. The accomplice was her cousin, Nellie Kulik. I didn't actually give her name before. She helped buy the poison. She was acquitted after the trial. Um, and side note, what have I written here? Sorry, Dee. Side note, Tilly was really. Oh yeah, sorry. The side note is that Tilly was really mad that the journalists and people were dissing the way that she looked and dowdy and all this kind of stuff. But actually, they were saying that her cousin Nellie was like the better looking of the two, the more engaged. And that's then what led her to say, the prison officers say, we think that's why she then told her cousin that you're going to be executed the next day when she wasn't.
Oh,
How awful
God.
is that, right? So she was obviously found guilty in 1923 of Frank Hayes' murder and the suspected murder,
The
the
attempted poisoning
attempted
of
murder
her.
of her fourth husband. She's sentenced to life imprisonment, the harshest sentence for a woman in Chicago at that time. So she's remembered as one of America's most chilling female poisoners. I've also got another fun fact before the end. Would you like to hear it?
Yes,
Okay.
obviously.
A few years after Tilly's killings, two unconnected cases involving, you probably know the names, it's all going to become clear. It's only a few lines. I just think it's really interesting. Two unconnected cases involving Bella Annan and Belva Gartner. Do you recognize those names? Am I butchering of those names?
No.
Bella Annan and Belva Gartner, who inspired the play and then the musical
Chicago.
Chicago.
I was thinking that at the beginning when you were talking about Chicago and stuff. I was like, oh, Chicago.
Chicago, yeah. So they were accused of killing the men in their lives, and they were both acquitted, even though Bella and Anne initially confessed to the murder. So they were later acquitted, and it was because the press focused on their attractiveness first, and the murders were secondary, saying things like, "She was the most beautiful woman to go on trial for murder in Cook County. She couldn't have possibly done it." So it was basically the jurors, all male jurors, time and time again, were besotted by these beautiful jazz-aged murderesses. And unfortunately for Tilly, she was not a stunner and she didn't get away with it. That's my story, Dee.
Oh my God, that was amazing. Thank you so much. What a great first story from you. I'd never heard of that.
Did you like it?
I loved it. I mean, I hated it, but I loved hearing about it. Um, yeah, it's just it's I just find it so fascinating, like we touched on already, the fact that like these women, I'm not justifying it at all, but in a lot of cases it was their only way out of an unhappy marriage.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
it genuinely was for a lot of them, because divorce was not common and not accepted by religion, poverty issues, financial issues, et cetera, et cetera. So like it's just how bad does a society have to be, in a situation for women have to be where you actually consider murdering someone to get yourself
I
out of a
know.
situation, right?
I
Like that's
know.
bad. That you
And
know,
also, like, one of the other things that I didn't talk about it because I don't really think it's fair, but I'm just going to mention it. A lot of the articles at the time talked about all her lovers and that,
yeah,
women have relationships now. You have relationships. You'll have multiple partners in your life before you get married. If you want to get married, you can be with a man, you can be with a woman, you can be with whoever you want. But back then, and it still happens now, it was just like a focus on basically she was a bit of a tart.
Yeah,
She
slut
had
shaming
this
her.
lover, this one, that one. And who knows the real story? You know, who
Yeah.
knows? She may have been a woman that was hugely abused growing up. She got married at 14. She was with that husband for 24 years. I've not found anything that in what I read that she was like abused by that husband, but she may well have been. And she might have had enough and snapped and gone, right, okay, he's going to meet an untimely end. And she did the first one, and then the next one's
Yeah.
followed quite quickly. And it's no excuse, but she might have been abused. They may have been alcoholics. Um,
Yeah. But I'm not saying we would have sympathy if there was just the one
hmm,
dead husband, but we'd be able to understand the reasoning behind it a lot more
yeah,
if it was that,
well, exactly.
but
Yeah,
it's then what happened thereafter,
well,
whatever
exactly.
reason why she committed the first one, whether she really was in a very horrible situation or whatever, not justifying murdering the husband, but you know what I mean?
Hmm,
The others were clearly, if not for fun, she definitely got some kind of enjoyment out of the process of it, the actual killing or the run up to it or whatever, right?
yeah.
Like,
No, no, absolutely, definitely. Would you like to see a picture of her?
yes,
You have to share the
fascinating.
screen.
Oh, I have to make it so that you can share the
Oh,
screen.
you know what I mean. You know I'm not good at
I
tech.
know, I know. I forgot about doing the thing. Okay, go.
I've got it on my screen. Can you see it?
No, because you haven't shared your screen.
Oh,
Ew.
let me do it now. How do I share my screen?
There's a big button at the bottom that says share screen, or maybe it's at the top.
Nope.
Do you want to email it to me quickly? Then I'll share it. How do you not have share screen anywhere in your Zoom? Open up your Zoom, make it big
Make it big. I
now
love
that
how
you've.
like we're just like we're gonna do this, folks. This is happening.
I need to see this fucking picture.
I know. You're like, what? No, I've got apps, meeting. Oh, is it the one that says share, the big one?
Yeah, that big one. Yeah, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
Do you see it?
okay. Can you see it?
It's coming up. It's coming up. Oh, see, she is striking.
Yeah, and so she went to jail for life because she had never visited the beauty parlor. How awful is that?
Is that what it says?
Yeah, and it says
Fucking
it may,
does.
yeah, so that was in the Chicago Tribune. Mrs. Tilly Klimek went to jail for life because Gillette Penitentiary is where she went to jail for life because she'd never visited the beauty parlor. At least that was the opinion of the court veterans. You can imagine all these people just turning up, just
Mhm.
watching for free, who watched the murder trial of the fat, squat peasant woman. She was the first woman ever jailed for life in Cook County for husband killing.
Ouch.
I know, right? I'm going to stop share. Um, but yeah, so I found it kind of like disturbing. I found it fascinating. And like, you know how like Randa always wants to know the backstory. I couldn't find out a huge amount about the backstory about her. Um, but I just thought it was really interesting. And, you know, the fact that when she's in prison, there was nothing about her misbehaving. Like, obviously, it's probably difficult to get your
Mhm.
hand in poison, but she seems to be quite happy in prison from all the stuff that I read.
Well, if there was an element of having to get rid of these husbands and collect life insurance for financial reasons to be able to support herself, like there are some things that are taken care of you for you in prison. She's not going to have financial worries, you know.
Exactly.
She's
Exactly.
so there probably was some things easier in her life. I'm not saying that prison was a holiday for her, but
Mm,
some things, your bare basic needs are met, that they should be in theory. But I thought
exactly.
that was such a good case for understanding like a socio-political economic context, right, of a time and a
Exactly.
place. Um,
Exactly. Like really interesting. And the fact that what I think is really interesting is that back in the day, and I don't even know what day I'm talking about, but a lot of
whatever
like
day she predicted.
whatever day, whenever she predicted their demise, um, people in authority at the time didn't believe that women were serial killers or could be.
I know. It's the
Um,
sexist attitude that women are not capable of murder.
yeah,
We're just as capable as men, or
I suppose
non-gender specific people.
non-gender
Thank you very
specific.
much.
But the motivations are clearly different in a lot of the cases. But women can be serial killers. Definitely. In this case, obviously. Shows that.
Yeah.
I'm
But
so glad you liked it.
only if they're ugly,
Only if they're
apparently.
ugly.
Oh my God. Well, even though that case was a little bit easier to stomach because they always are when they're like 100 years ago
I
plus,
know,
right?
I know, I know.
I still think we want a little palate cleanser.
Yep, let's go for it. Let's do it.
So, as you all know now, because this is episode 4 of season 5, how fucking awesome is that? It goes by so
Good.
quick, doesn't it?
I know, it
Episode
does.
4.
I feel like it was
Um,
yesterday we did the other ones.
so we have got a new way of ending each episode, and that is the Inquisition, where you submit your tattoos for judgment by us. I was just going to say I'm really excited because I actually have a tattoo booked on Saturday.
Do you? Oh, can we
Yeah.
get ours booked in, Dee? Right, okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna get the name of the place.
Yeah. You sort that out and I'm there.
I'm writing it down. Oh God, this
I'm not
pen
telling you what I'm
smells
getting
good.
because I'm torn between 2 ideas.
Please do not get my face. I know we've talked about it repeatedly.
No, I know eventually I'm getting your face tattooed on my face, but that's not what I'm going. I'm either getting, let me bring it up because you can help me decide. Maybe I'll do a poll. Maybe I'll do a poll.
I think you were actually going to do a poll before.
So we've got this one, Friday the 13th, but I'll
Oh,
tell you my reservations of it. It says, thank God it's Friday. But I don't know if you can see, but I don't want the word God tattooed on me. No, that's weird because it's in a jokey context. And obviously it doesn't mean that I believe in God because I have fucking that tattoo. But I don't want the word God on me.
What about goodness?
Well, Sam suggested changing the banner to say, Friday, I'm in love.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was quite cute. Yeah, but with, Jason on there. But then I was like, ooh, but actually here we have a Hannibal Silence of the Lambs tattoo. And I love that film.
I love that film. I don't know if I would ever consider.
Yeah. But I'm thinking of just the death moth, but also
please don't go for the one on the right.
No, I can't even look at that one.
Can we tell people what one that is? Because
it's the clown from what? What is that clown from?
Is it It?
It's not the It clown, and I
God,
don't know what it is. But it says meet and greet on it, but meat spelled like a hamburger meat, and I'm vegetarian, so I don't really want meat on that. So then I was thinking of the Hannibal tattoo, but with on the banner, I wanted to say something like, sorry, I have to just, it's like discourtesy is ugly.
What?
Discourtesy is ugly because Hannibal at one point in the film, and it's always stuck with me. He says, discourtesy is ugly to me. It's like, I'll kill people, but rudeness I find intolerable.
Intolerable rudeness.
Yeah. So yeah, anyways, I will show you my tattoo as and when I fucking decide what the hell I'm getting. So Inquisition time.
Yeah, absolutely. On those 3 tattoos though, the second one, what was the wording?
It says meet and greet on it.
Meet and greet, but MEAT. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we're gonna go for, let me show you the 2 tattoos. Hang on, where are they? There's this one.
Is that a vulture? That's a vulture with a little pink face and a little party hat. Who's that?
And it's funny because it looks like it's not finished, like the body of the vulture is not colored in.
Yeah. Is it finished?
I don't know. So this is Nina, and Nina I adore. She comes to a lot of the Murder on Tap events that I have in Twickenham with Linda from the Brewery Market.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Linda. She's awesome. And I also love that her name is Nina, her sister, Simone.
Shut the front door.
Yeah. And I've met their dad because they brought their dad along too. And he's just obviously a huge Nina Simone fan. And I just thought,
Nina
you are a legend.
Simone.
It reminded me of my friends, my dear friend Sharif, and his brother Omar.
Shut up.
Yeah, Omar and Sharif.
Gee. I mean, I
Mhm.
did tell you, Dee, that I went to school with people. One was Pamela Ness and one was Andrew Ness. So it's P Ness and A Ness.
God,
And I
no,
just don't think their parents realized,
you never told me
unless
that.
they both liked penises and anuses. Sorry,
Unless they
mom.
thought it was
Sorry,
funny.
mom. Sorry, mama hams.
And then she's also got this one, which I think is super cute.
Oh, that's so cute.
Right? I mean, I actually think the vulture, the crazy drunk vulture, party vulture is cute too. But
I
what
I
she
like the
says,
vampire teeth and the
yes,
lips.
sorry, we should explain.
We
I
should
keep on
explain what
forgetting.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a mouth, really, really like sexy mouth with vampire teeth. Um, and I think that's super cute. We'll post them on the socials. Um, but here's what she says. She says, uh, the first one is Wiggles the Party Vulture, designed by my nephew.
Oh,
I'm going to presume the
Wiggles.
nephew is a small child, but I love Wiggles the Party Vulture, maybe the new mascot for the podcast. And the second one is self explanatory, vampire lips, because why not? Plus, I'm a massive Buffy fan.
Okay, well that explains it. That
Yeah.
explains it.
I
That
really
makes
like
sense.
both those tattoos. I'm
I
all for a ridiculous tattoo.
I really
You know,
like the lips. I think that's a really good one.
the lips were super cute, and Wiggles the party vulture.
I love
Love
that.
him.
Do you know, there's one of our lovely customers, Hannah. Hannah is got she's got a podcast as well, like a book podcast. The podcast she does with her friend Rhiannon, it's called Two Girls, One Book Pod.
I
And
love
I
it.
know exactly, they're so good. And Hannah comes to all of our events and she's super, super lovely. But she has the best tattoos ever. And I'm always
Well,
like, whenever I'm talking to her, I'm always like looking at her tattoos to like see stuff. And they're so good. And she has so many of them. And they're just like exquisite and just like really nice. But I wonder if she's got any like va like vulture tattoos, like
yeah,
funny,
if she's got a
like
Wiggles the party vulture
if she's got
equivalent.
a Wiggles
Well,
party
we're
vulture.
if you've got a particularly good tattoo, we want to see those too. But I do like the funny ones with a funny backstory. So
Yeah.
thank you, Nina. That was
Nina, brilliant.
Chef's kiss. Wiggles the party vulture.
Love it.
Love it. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's us for the week.
Yay. It's you
Uh,
next week, so I can just
how
sit
did you
back.
find? Yeah. Did you love telling me a story?
I love telling the story. I've been researching my second one, which I obviously won't tell you what it is, but I've been researching the next one at the same time, and I'm just loving it.
It's
So I
some of
think
my
I'm gonna
favorite
end
time
up
of the week is when I'm like,
researching.
nope. And now I'm researching. I go to a very specific chair, and that's my little research chair, and I just get
I'm
to
in here
read.
in my little research shed in the garden, my little pub in the garden. I love
Honestly,
it.
guys, listening to this, start a fucking podcast. It's awesome. Start
And
one
you
with
know,
one of your friends, and then you get to hang out with
exactly,
your mates, even if it's on Zoom. You get to read
exactly.
about stuff you like, talk about stuff you like, and chat with your mates.
Exactly. And the good thing is I'm taking like loads of books home from the shop that I'm then reading, and now I can like chat to customers about them. So actually, it's just
Yeah.
me
I
doing
was gonna
stuff that I
ask
should be
you
doing
to
anyway.
I was gonna ask you to show them, but I think you're using them to prop up your laptop. So
Oh no, 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 I'm not. I'm not.
all right, show us some of your books.
So this one is A is for Arsenic, The Poisons of Agatha Christie, if you can see that.
Oh,
It's
so
obviously the wrong way
pretty.
around.
Mm,
Um, But Agatha Christie actually trained as a chemist. She actually worked as a chemist assistant. So that's why she
I knew
uses
that.
poison as like the main method
There you
of
go.
killing a
Like we
lot
said
of
at the top of
people.
the show, using her
Yeah.
occupational knowledge.
And it's so, so, so interesting. The other one, I'm not going to show you that one because I might take something from that one. She Kills Me, True Stories of History's Deadliest Women. She Kills Me. Really, really super cool. League of Lady Poisoners, I don't have it in front of me, but that's that beautiful, as I mentioned,
I'm
coffee
going to
table
take some
book.
pictures of it because it's
And then I've
in my
got,
dedicated poisons and botanicals
oh yeah, your little
section.
shelf. And then we've
Which
got
actually,
lady
where I have a
killers.
poster of arsenic bottles, so and a little
Oh
poison
yeah.
Victorian poison bottle.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
take a
yeah.
picture.
Do that. And then I've got Lady Killers, Deadly Women Throughout History by
Amazing.
Tori Telfer. So yeah, really, really cool. And did I
All
tell
of
you?
those are available at your bookshop. Criminally Good Books in
Absolutely.
Work.
They are. And we've now got a new mural in the shop. So we originally had the lovely Leah Pendleton, who's an amazing artist. She did our gold leaf window with, the butler did it and all this kind of stuff.
Like I have to say, your shop is just beautiful. Like apart from the
Thank you.
content and the actual stock being amazing, the actual shop is just lush.
Thank you. And our booksellers are amazing, but the shop does also look really,
Mm.
really good. And we've got a lovely Agatha Christie mural that the Agatha Christie Society absolutely love, and it's like fantastic. And that's got lots of little, not Easter eggs, but like pop outs from Agatha Christie books, and you have to kind of guess where they all
Like
feature
references, yeah.
references exactly, like a red herring, like a poison bottle, that kind of thing. But then we've also now got on the first floor, the door that leads into like the staff area, we've got inspiration from Lisa Perrin's book, League of Lady Poisoners. So we've got lots of poison stuff, like newspaper articles, poison bottles, different things on the door now. So it
Okay, well,
looks
I
really
need you
cool.
to take a photo of this
Oh
as
well.
soon as soon as you get into the bookshop next time and send it to me because I don't
I will
know
do.
how I didn't know this about you.
Yeah, yeah, and we've got loads of new signage going up, all hand
Oh,
painted, gold foil, all looking lovely. Just adds to the aesthetic.
go check it out. I love you
I
and I
love
love our
you.
sexy listeners.
Love them. I can't wait to meet more of them. Hopefully, there's people coming to Harrogate, and we'll see you soon. And
Hmm.
I've already had people coming into the shop going, "Oh, I follow Dee," and like, I know Switchblade Sisters, and
Do
Dee's
you know that
mentioned you.
the first time I went to Harrogate, we went to Harrogate was the first time I met a listener in the wild,
That's
you
so
know,
nice.
where I talked to someone and I said, "Oh, I have a true crime podcast." And she said, Briley, she said, "Oh my God, I listened to that podcast." And she
Oh,
wasn't just blowing smoke up my ass because she mentioned an episode of blah, blah, blah. And that was the first time I met someone unrelated to me in my everyday life who said to me,
I've
I
listened
listened to
to
the
it.
podcast. So I was like, I
Dee,
cried.
I honestly, I frequently have people that, so I say, oh, my friend's got a true crime podcast, blah, blah, or when they talk about true crime podcasts, a lot of people read fiction, okay, but listen to
Listen,
podcasts or watch them because it's that whole thing of if you read true crime, it almost seems like it seeps in more into your brain and is more intrusive for some people.
it is
Um,
harder to read true crime books, I find, than listen to, like, it hits you in a different way,
Well,
I
exactly.
think.
And a lot of people are like will say that they listen to podcasts. And I was like, have you listened to my friend's got Switchblade Sisters? No, me. And honestly, lots of people have said, oh, I've seen that. Oh, I have listened, love that one. Like, honestly, it's really good. We need more stickers in the shop. So I used to
Well, I
send out to
have
people.
just literally looking at a big box of stickers and
Yay.
notebooks and stuff. So I'll bring up a bunch of stuff. So after Harrogate, there will be stickers available in the shop.
Yay.
Um, yeah. So, all right. Well, love you, sexy listeners.
Love you all.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Like this episode? Want more? Come visit me, Isla, at Criminally Good Books in the heart of York. We're an independent bookshop dedicated entirely to crime. From cosy mysteries to gritty thrillers, historical whodunits to juicy true crime. We've got signed editions, special gifts, and plenty of recommendations for your next obsession. We also host a bunch of awesome author events. Can't make it in person? Visit us online at criminallygoodbooks.co.uk.